Back from that Thanksgiving game, we have a lot to talk about. It was a rough game. 5 turnovers at home in prime time against one of the worst defenses in the NFL. It was just an ugly game overall. Lamar Jackson is definitely not playing his best ball right now, but I'll tell you why I think he's about to bounce back in a big way. But the offense overall is struggling, and something has to change quick because this Sunday against the Pittsburgh Steelers is not just another game. The division's on the line. The season's on the line again. This is where you find out what you're made of. So we're going to talk about that Bengals game a little bit, what went wrong, what's fixable, and why I still think the Ravens win the AFC North even after that mess on Thanksgiving. All that and more in today's episode of the Flock Rundown.
Ravens Flock. The Flock Rundown is the place to be.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Back in the studio. Haven't posted in a few days. I was traveling back, especially after that game. I was going to grind out an episode right after the game, but it was such a miserable game. I'm like, all right, let me just get back and gather my thoughts, and then we'll talk about a bunch of things, because I know a lot of you guys don't like watching the episodes right after the game when we lose anyway. I wouldn't either. I don't want to consume a bunch of content right after a loss, especially a loss in that fashion, so I get it. But here, we're going to talk about the loss a little bit today, and then also looking forward to what's going on in this Steelers matchup coming up, because that one is massive. But it was fun at the game, man. The game sucked on the field. The play sucked on the field, but I had a good time at the game, even though it was pretty cold. Met a lot of you guys, so shout out to everybody that I ran into. That was awesome to meet you guys in real life. You know, one thing over the internet, reading comments, but it's a whole different thing when you're meeting people in real life. I don't remember everybody's name, but shout out to Jay, Anthony, Steve Loop, the dad and son that were sitting in front of me the whole game. They watched the channel too, man. Shout out to all you guys. I appreciate that. It makes me want to come back and go to a bunch more games, man. I can't only be going to like one game a year. I'm pretty far from Baltimore at the moment, but that's my home base, so I might have to get a property and head back there and interact with you guys a lot more, man. That was fun and inspiring, and I definitely am thinking about options to see if I can get closer to home and kind of make that more of a regular thing, because I had a great time, man. But back to the play on the field, not ideal. 5 turnovers to 1. You're going to lose pretty much every single game you play like that, and they deserve to lose, man. And I was shocked. I mean, you're going against one of the worst defenses in the league, and it didn't look like it at all. Our offense had one of its worst days, and we're at home in prime time on Thanksgiving. This is the second time at home this season in prime time that we've kind of got embarrassed. You know, the Lions game on Monday Night Football, all black jerseys, you know, I'm hype, I got confidence, and then boom, get smacked. And then Bengals game, Thanksgiving, going against one of the worst defenses in the league, division game, 5 turnovers, ton of mistakes to go around. It just sucks to lose a game like that at home in prime time. It's not normal, man. The Ravens usually ball out in prime time, but we're not seeing the normal Ravens right now on a week-to-week basis. You know, we just came off a 5-game winning streak. Everyone's riding high. But the offense has been struggling, no doubt about it. And I thought the defense held their own for over half of that game against the Bengals. But 5 turnovers is 5 turnovers, man. The defense is, I mean, I get, you know, I heard a lot of the defenders talking about how they still need to keep the Bengals out of the end zone, and it's still on them that they put up over 30 points. But if you don't have 5 turnovers, the Bengals are not scoring that much. We held the Bengals to 4 field goals for a while, man. Like, the defense was bending a little bit, but they never broke early, and they were getting put in some terrible situations. Some of those fumbles, that one fumble on the goal line didn't even lead to points, and they went 4 and out, you know, get a 4th down stop on the goal line, and then before half, another fumble, boom, they're in the red zone already. Like, that's just tough situations to keep putting the defense in. Now, the defense needs to get a better pass rush. I thought the Bengals O-line did a great job picking up the Ravens blitzes, and the Ravens were not able to be as disruptive as they have been in past weeks. And we lost Wiggins in the second half, which isn't a serious injury. I don't know if he'll be back this week, but it's nothing long-term, which is great news. But losing Wiggins in that second half unlocked the Bengals offense even more. So the defense, I thought, overall held their own given the circumstances. I mean, the offense made so many mistakes, man. And it seems like when those mistakes start, especially earlier in the game, it's so hard for them to overcome them. It seems like it just rolls throughout the game. It almost had like a Buffalo playoff loss feel, especially early on, because Lamar had that fumble near the goal line early on where the right side of the O-line just completely got confused. He's under pressure. He ends up fumbling. Bengals didn't get any points off that fumble, so I guess it didn't kill us, but it backed us back up into the end zone. We end up going 3 and out again and punting it right back to him. Great punt by Jordan Stout, by the way. But the offense cannot be consistently putting the defense in those situations. They got to hold on to the ball. Lamar needs to hold on to the ball. The one where he tried to re-grip the ball and fumbled, I could see the argument for why it might be an incomplete pass, but he did try and re-grip it. I mean, it is a mistake. You know, he definitely tried to bring that back in and re-grip it and then lost it. So I think technically it is a fumble. I get a lot of people are blaming the refs for various things. The refs were not sharp in this game. I'm not absolving blame there, but I don't think the refs decided this game. I think the Ravens made mistake after mistake and kind of couldn't get that momentum back. You know, the Isaiah Likely touchdown fumble completely sucked the life out of the stadium. I mean, everybody was celebrating like crazy when Isaiah Likely scored that big touchdown. That would have rolled momentum, and then boom, nope, fumble, turnover, Bengals ball. That sucks the life out of the stadium. The Zay Flowers touchy offensive pass interference call that he made a great catch in the end zone, jump ball, got it, and it's not a touchdown because he pushed off. Technically, he did push off. I mean, the ref's not wrong, but other players do that all the time. It's really just up to the ref in that moment whether he wants to call it or not. Unfortunately, he called it on Zay. I mean, it is a soft call, but technically it's right. He did push off a little bit. Also saw Chase do that 2 or 3 times during that game too, and it wasn't called. So receivers do that all the time. It's a little vet move, you know, just to get a tiny bit of separation. We saw DeAndre Hopkins do that a couple weeks ago to get a big 3rd down conversion. Receivers do that all the time, but they called Zay for it, and it wasn't a touchdown. Those things just suck the life out of the team. And unfortunately, I'm questioning the mental toughness a little bit to overcome that. I think that's a big deal, man. That's something that not a lot of people talk about. And I've seen this team, when they make a lot of mistakes like that, they just kind of get in their heads and continue to make those mistakes. Zay fumbles again at the end of the game. I know it didn't matter at that point as much, but who knows? You go down and drive. It's a 1-possession game. You never know what could happen. Travis Jones made an unbelievable forced fumble and recovery to get the ball back. We're driving a little bit. You could potentially overcome all those mistakes that you were making early, but the Ravens can't seem to overcome mistakes when they start doing it early or when momentum's not going their way. They have a hard time recapturing it and keeping it. So I just think they got to be way more consistent, man. Lamar's got to play better. There's no doubt about it. I don't think that the injuries from a running standpoint are hindering him too much. He still looks pretty quick to me. I know he's got some serious tape on his ankles that he usually doesn't have. He's definitely bothered by some injuries, and I know his running is, you know, maybe 10 or 20% less than it usually is, but it's not awful. He's still quick out there. He still got out of a lot of pressure. What's confusing is he's not seeing the field as well. And I don't know if that's just from the O-line play throughout the season being a little inconsistent and him not trusting it. I don't know if it's a Monken play calling issue. It's hard to pinpoint why Lamar's not seeing the field as well as he usually does, but he is definitely more hesitant and not making the best decisions. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He hasn't thrown a touchdown in 3 weeks now. That is just insane. If you look at his season stats, he's still having an okay year. He missed a month, and then he hasn't thrown a touchdown in almost a month. That's insane from Lamar, man. So, you know, something's up. He's not seeing the field as well. I'm going to lean into rust/injuries. He did miss a month, and then he just hasn't been the same since he came back. And then he's also banged up, so maybe he's not able to get that same kind of leverage, and he's not trusting himself. He missed some throws for sure, but what's most different is his decision making. I mean, there's multiple times that they just brought the house, and we had a nice outlet pass that Lamar could have got to, but he's looking downfield. He didn't even see Andrews, which would have been a 30-40 yard gain. Or he throws one to Keaton in the flat, but he throws it too short and he can't catch it. It's just like tiny little mistakes like that. And then Lamar also made great throws and great decisions. So it is just about consistency, and that's what he talked about after the game too.
Nah, I just got to play consistent. You know, can't have turnovers. Especially in any game, not just this game, but any game. Can't have turnovers, 2 fumbles, in the interception, tip interception. We got to be consistent. We put our defense on the field too much. Can't have that.
And now I see a lot of people talking about how Lamar's lost it or he's overrated, and I completely disagree with all that. I think it's a small slump. I think it's a small sample size. Lamar Jackson earlier this season was dominant until he got hurt. Until that Chiefs game, Lamar Jackson was having good games, man. I mean, he went off against the Bills. He went off against the Browns in week 2. Lamar Jackson was playing at an MVP level this season. Then he got hurt, missed a month. And then since then, it has been a grind back. I mean, he's thrown 1 touchdown in the last 4 games. That is very abnormal for Lamar. And just watching the game, he's not seeing the field as well as he usually does. He's not trusting things like he usually does. And I just really believe that that is a little tiny slump that we're in. And I don't think that's going to continue. I think Lamar Jackson hears the noise and he's the ultimate competitor too. It's not just about the noise, right? I mean, he is responding to some of it. I saw him say less on X yesterday. He's responding to some of it, but also internally, he's the ultimate competitor, and it bothers him probably more than it bothers us. So he's going to fix it. Lamar Jackson's going to bounce back. And fortunately, we have a mini bye week right now since we played on Thursday night. We got 10 days to rest up and practice and get things together for a must-win showdown against Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh is now back in control of the North. We'll see what happens against the Bills this week. They are playing some tough opponents. They got to play the Lions down the stretch too. But I think this season and division completely comes down to sweeping the Steelers. That does not change. The Ravens have to beat Pittsburgh this Sunday and in week 18. And I'd love for the Ravens to win out, but they could probably lose one more game and sweep the Steelers and still win the division. So if we dropped one to Green Bay randomly or New England or whoever, we could probably afford one loss if we sweep the Steelers, but I also would rather the Ravens just get hot and win out. And I think this mini bye is going to be that perfect reset, kind of like the bye week was before we went on this 5-game winning streak before this game. Now, obviously, this game was a huge letdown, and everyone's starting to bring up a lot of old problems and throwing blame, this way and that way. This was just an awful game filled with mistakes, man. I mean, you lose the turnover battle 5-1. That is not normal. That's not what the Ravens have been doing. The Ravens have been creating turnovers on defense and not turning the ball over on offense, and it's led to a 5-game winning streak. This game was the polar opposite, and I think it's an outlier. I don't think that we're going to play Pittsburgh and our offense is just not going to be able to do anything. I think that we are going to have a wake-up call, because if we lose to the Steelers, season probably is over. I mean, the season's on the line. We're going to need a lot of help if we lose to the Steelers. We're going to need them to collapse completely. So the season's on the line this Sunday, and I think the Ravens play their best ball when their backs are against the wall. And another hot topic from this game is Derrick Henry's usage. I mean, Rasheen Ali outsnapped Derrick Henry in this game. Derrick Henry only got 10 carries, and this game was within reach for the majority of the game until the very end. So I think that Derrick Henry definitely should have got the ball more, and we should have just ran more. It's not even just about Derrick Henry. It's about volume of runs. Our volume of runs this entire season are way down from last year. Derrick Henry's percentage usage is actually very similar to what it was last year, so it's not like we're not using Derrick Henry. We're not running the ball as much, and I know that's because we don't trust our O-line as much as we have. We saw a rotation with Emery Jones Jr. and Voorhees at left guard during this game. I thought Emery for his first game looked solid. I know he had a bad holding call, but I mean, overall, Emery looked like he belonged out there. He looks much better in space, but it doesn't solve the right side of the O-line's problem, because every time I was watching Emery, I was like, okay, I like what I'm seeing, but Fa'alele and Roger Rosengarten are screwing up on the right side, and the play's still blown up. So, I mean, we're going to need, I guess, more answers than that. I was a little confused that they put Emery at left guard. So, obviously, the coaches don't love what they're seeing from Voorhees, and they definitely like Emery, man. There's a reason that they activated him 2 weeks ago and benched Ben Cleveland, and then now all of a sudden Emery's in a rotation and is getting starting reps and drives out there. So I think they're moving Emery to a starting position here, which is what we've all been calling for. And I like the upside. I like what I'm seeing. It just doesn't solve the right side of the O-line. So I don't think we're like out of the woods. You know what I mean? I really think we still have some O-line issues for sure that I don't know are getting fixed this season. But I also don't think the O-line was the entire issue in that Bengals game by any means, though. It was just a ton of mistakes, man. The Isaiah Likely fumble jumping into the end zone, he was just trying to make a play. I'm not being too hard on him. I'm just saying it can't happen, man. It sucks the life out of everything. The Zay Flowers fumble even at the end of the game. The Lamar Jackson fumbles. Lamar not seeing the field well. There was multiple guys open throughout that game. It wasn't the O-line's fault. Like, Lamar wasn't seeing the right open guy and getting the ball to him accurately, consistently enough to keep moving down the field. And we weren't running enough, in my opinion, which is too often. We go away from the run too often. I think that we can wear teams down with Derrick Henry, even with this O-line. I think we can. You hear Ronnie Stanley talking about it to the media after the game in the locker room. He's like, we need the running game to be our identity, and we've even brought that to the coaches.
Thought the run game, especially early on, we got Derrick going, rushed for a touchdown early on. I think we just got to keep it going and keep the momentum going, and we make sure that's our identity, and we have to make it work.
I guess, Ronnie, when you say make sure, is there like conversation on the sideline? Like, for example, after Derrick's touchdown run, I think with 6.5 minutes left in the first quarter, he had 2 touches in the rest of the half. Like, do you guys want to? Are there instances where you guys can like encourage coaches, like, hey, can we go back to this? Or
yeah, I mean that's definitely part of it is the collaboration part and wanting to get back to the run, and that's something that we encourage the coaches to do when we come back to the sideline. And but we're still gonna go out there and run whatever play is called. Yeah, no, it's very frustrating. Especially been around football for a little bit, played for a while, and just understanding the type of personnel we have, the type of people we have, and that's just not our standard. Especially speaking for the offense. Thought the defense did a great job, but offensively, that's not our standard.
But with how bad that game looked against the Bengals on Thursday night, with all the mistakes that were made, I just cannot see the Ravens having 5 turnovers probably ever again the rest of this season. I genuinely think that's an outlier moment, a ton of mistakes, and yes, there's a lot of blame to go around in a lot of different areas. Everybody's got to play better. Even the defense that had their backs against the wall and were put in an unfortunate situation still need to play better. Hopefully we can get Wiggins back healthy. That's going to be a big deal. But regardless, the Ravens can still control their destiny, and I still think they sweep the Steelers because this team with their backs against the wall, led by Lamar Jackson, is going to bounce back. If you're betting against Lamar, I think you're foolish, man. You got to take the entire sample size of his career, and every time he's been faced with adversity, he's bounced back times 10. And I'm expecting the same thing, man. I'm expecting him to heal up a little bit over this mini bye stretch again, and we're going to see a similar run that we just saw the Ravens go on. They had a terrible outlier game against the Bengals with a ton of mistakes, but if you aren't turning the ball over at that rate, that's a much different game. The Ravens offense did have some good moments. They were matching Bengals in yardage for most of that game until the end. They just kept turning the ball over. You can't have that many mistakes. You can't have 2 touchdowns called back. One on Isaiah Likely for dropping the ball before he got in the end zone, and then Zay Flowers' offensive pass interference. That's 2 more scores. It's a much different game if that doesn't happen. So it's those tiny mistakes, but that's football, man. It's a game of inches. It's a game of details. And unfortunately, the Ravens throughout recent history have not been able to lock in on those tiny details and show up in those moments consistently enough. And that definitely has to change. And I think that with their backs against the wall against the Steelers next Sunday, it will change. You're going to see some fight out of this team. You have to see some fight out of this team. They have to go win that game. I don't care what the Steelers look like. I don't care if they look like the best team in football against the Bills. It doesn't matter. The Ravens have to be playing their best ball against the Pittsburgh Steelers next Sunday. They got extra time to heal up. They got extra time to prepare for it. The season's on the line. Let's go get it. But let me know what you guys are thinking about everything. Do you think these offensive struggles and mistakes continue bleeding into the rest of the season and the inconsistency piles up and maybe it's just not the Ravens' year this year? Or do you think Lamar Jackson starts playing a lot better and we turn this thing around, start running the ball a lot more, wearing teams down as it gets cold, continuing to play good defense? Let me know what you guys are thinking about everything. Appreciate you as always for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens flock. Flock Rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan. has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. Podcast, the Flock Rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.